Good afternoon, Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today's session. Let us comment to the chat box to see where you are joining us from. Um, welcome. Can you all hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay. Welcome to all our participants. Please let us comment in the chat box from where we are joining from. Some of us are joining from Lagos, some of us are joining from Ebonyi. I can see better. Thank you for joining us all the way from Ebonyi. Salome from Lagos. Olubumi Ajao joining us from Lagos as well. Wifo from Lagos as well. Lillian from Lagos. Fumilola from Lagos. Blessing from Lagos. You're welcome to today's session. We're so excited to have you. Our uncle, are you ready for us now?
Yes, good afternoon. I've been here for a while, but it was asking me to ask the host for permission to be able to put on my video, and it's still saying the same thing, that I'm disabled. But nonetheless, I'm ready to move on.
Okay.
It has already been sorted out.
Okay.
You might want to try again.
Okay, yes, awesome. I'm here.
Awesome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Precious, for stepping in. Thank you for holding it down while I was trying to sort myself out with my device. My name is Adora Akodjoro, and I want to welcome you all to this program, the WIMBIZ WIMCAP BSN program. Thank you very much for joining. I know some of us are joining from afar. Precious was going through the messages and she was seeing people post about where they're joining from. Okay, so I'm seeing Isimeme from Edo State, Marian from Lagos, Njideka from Lagos, Dr. Nisi Ikenamadi from Port Harcourt, a lot of Lagos. And then, of course, there's Ebonyi as well. So we are all welcome to this session. It promises to be engaging. It promises to be inspirational. It promises to be a session that is going to impart you knowledge-wise, and especially if you run a business as well. So we're all welcome. My name is Adora and Akodjoro. I'll be your host this afternoon. I'll be anchoring this program. And of course, you know that we have put together a wonderful event for you. And we have a number of speakers who are experts in their fields and who will be talking to us today with respect to our program today. I'm the founder of Better Agri Ventures, as you saw on the screen earlier, and I'm based in Kano. And what we do is basically we are into food processing, food storage, farming, and everything that has to do with agriculture and food. Enough about me. So I want to ask one or two persons to just say one or two things before we kick off properly. So I don't know who I'm going to call now. Okay, I'm seeing Rita from Abuja. Rita from Abuja, can you just quickly unmute and just say hello to all of us? Tell us your name and tell us your full name. Tell us what you do in Abuja. Can you do that? Rita from Abuja. Can Rita hear me? Okay, if Rita is not forthcoming, can we talk to Stella from Lagos? We can't unmute. Oh, okay, all right, we can just chat. Okay, all right, it's fine. All right, Stella from Lagos, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next thing for us to do on this program. I've already talked about myself. I've told you my name. I've told you where I am chatting from, or where I'm talking to you from Kano State. And we are here, what we're here to do, which is to talk about the role of women's entrepreneurship in creating generational wealth. That is what this program is all about, courtesy of WIMBIZ. So before we go any further, I'd want to recognize the presence of our honorable speakers. We want to talk about some of our speakers include Hajia Latifat Balogun, the founder and CEO of Hat Lab Ice Cream, Mrs. Lola Olukwewu, the founder and CEO of High 10 Designs, among others, Dr. Esther Juliet Chukas Onaiko, and of course, our very own Professor Liri Bale. And we will not forget the Executive Director of WIMBIZ, Hansato Adikite, as well. She's also on this call. And in just a few seconds, I'll be paving way for her to come on board so that she can speak to us as the Executive Director of WIMBIZ and the main reason why we're gathered here this afternoon. So, Ma'am Hansatu Adigite, are you here?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for logging in on time. I just want to use this opportunity, first of all, to thank, obviously, BSN, Business School Netherlands in Nigeria, for partnering with WIMBIZ to host this webinar. I also want to use this opportunity to thank all our WIMBIZ associates, and obviously all our WIMBIZ associates that are on this call. You are the reason that we keep doing what we want to do. I will also commend all the speakers. These are women of timber, caliber, and grace. Coincidentally, I know all of them. Our paths have crossed in many ways so many years ago in most of their cases. So on behalf of the board of WIMBIZ, of course, our management team, all our committees, I just want to use this opportunity to welcome everybody to this webinar. I want to also thank the HQ staff that always make sure that things just keep happening. And thank you for all the work that you do. I want to use this opportunity to just sort of remind us, this program has been advertised far and wide. So some people are aware of the organization WIMBIZ, Women in Management, Business and Public Service. Some are aware of the organization BSN, Business School Netherlands, but some are not. So I never take it for granted that when we have any kind of webinar, we don't take it for granted that everybody knows who we are. WIMBIZ is a non-profit organization, but we're also a business membership organization that started about 22 years ago. And in 22 years, our focus has been one. We want to see an increased representation of women in leadership positions across the business space, the public sector space, as well as the corporate sector space. And in order to achieve that, over the past 22 years, we have all our programs that advocate for women to serve in leadership positions through programs like our Women on Boards and our Women in Politics program. We have also our advocacy initiatives for both the private and the public sector. We have programs that empower. We look at things around building the capacity of female entrepreneurs through our WIMBIZ Capital program, which is the actual umbrella that this particular program is falling under, because you can see that the focus for the Business School Netherlands is on women entrepreneurship and creating generational wealth. We also have our mentoring programs under that. We have our Big Sister program. For those of you that are following us on all our social media platforms, you will know that the Big Sister program in Abia is coming up on Friday. And so I'm still appealing to as many of you as are based in Abia to join us there. We also have our Winning Without Compromise program. We focus on girls in public universities, especially, just to build capacity. And that you cannot come for a program like this today and not connect with somebody through the chat box. Every program we do at WIMBIZ is an opportunity for you to meet somebody. Don't just come and listen, connect with somebody. Some of you can feel free, share your LinkedIn profile, whatever it is, your website, have not said, and it is not actually the reason we're even having this program, because he has been a Women on Boards mentor for about 2 or 3 years with WIMBIZ, and even throughout that time he has been saying, WIMBIZ, we want to do something for women and female entrepreneurs, and he had worked on this. In fact, this program, they had even worked on it from the business school in the Netherlands internationally. The International Advisory Board had worked on it, and we had just been looking for an opportunity to have it this year, and we weren't able to. So I want to thank him for his patience as we do it today. So without wasting much time, I will hand over back the baton and the microphone, if I may say, my virtual microphone, back to our anchor. But I just want to say that I am delighted to have all the speakers here, and I look forward to hearing from them. And I know that Professor Bale will be saying, I've not introduced myself as the president. I will not do that, because on this particular platform, I'm here as the executive director of WIMBIZ. And so when he is now doing his own introduction, he can do any kind of introduction as he refers to me. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the Honorable Executive Director of WIMBIZ, Hansatu Adebite. I hope we've all been able to learn about WIMBIZ and what WIMBIZ has been doing for the past 2 decades plus. And if we know that we are not yet associates of WIMBIZ, we can do well to go through the website, www.wimbiz.org, to register and see how you can be a member in order to make profound impact on the society through the organization, right? So without further ado, I want to bring on board now the CEO Business School Netherlands, Professor Larry Bale, who is going to give us the opening remarks, as well as bring on our speakers, our honorable distinguished speakers for today. Prof. Larry Bale, good evening, sir.
Good evening, my sister Adara. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you today and to be with the rest of the team. I want to thank you for giving this great opportunity to partner and to be able to address topical issues as it relates to entrepreneurship among women, and more especially as it relates to generational wealth creation for women. And we key into all the key pillars, the 4 key pillars of WIMBIZ, the pillar of advocacy, the pillar of empowerment, for which this is one of it, to get them empowered psychologically, physically, emotionally, mentally, socially, as well as financially. And we believe it will also inspire them and create an opportunity for connection. I would like to state that because I have very few minutes, I will make these slides available. So there are major skills that are required by women. And more especially, my mother played a very key role in raising me up. Having lost my dad at the young age of about 6. And so my mother was responsible for about 5 kids, building us up. And if not for a desire to embrace entrepreneurship, it would have been very difficult for us to survive. Paying fees, feeding was difficult. So as we move on, it's important for us to build entrepreneurship as part of the skills that are critical. The next 10 years, of course, is going to be very difficult unless we embrace certain things. And one of the most important things we want to embrace is what is included in the key pillar, which is empowerment. So we need to see the next 10 years as very revolutionary, where the 5G, the 6G, the 7G will be the order of this. Internet will play a very key role. And people's competencies, skills, and mastery will need to be increased. So it is important for us to know that the gap between the poor and the rich may even widen the more. And it's only those who understand how to really add value. Money will be made because of value exchange. And so it's those who understand how to create value, how to think in terms of volume of value, and how to do things very frequently, do these 2 things very frequently, that will be in a position to make things happen. So in order to get this done, it is important for every woman to understand that information is key, data need to be mined, education is key, knowledge is key, application of the knowledge that you have acquired is also very key. And it's important to actually have skills in entrepreneurship and to actually have mastery in them. Most of those who have had course to build those competencies and skills in entrepreneurship have been supported or helped through traditional teachers role models, counselors, mentors, coaches, and indeed sponsors who would naturally stand for you where you may not be there. It's important, therefore, for us to know that professors may actually accumulate knowledge, but professionals apply knowledge. So we want you to talk like professionals today. And so we are bringing in professionals on board who have already practiced entrepreneurship and who have succeeded with entrepreneurship and who have built mastery out of entrepreneurship. So the next 10 years, we see very great opportunity for you to build skills, including survival skills, navigation skills, global skills, that will help you and skill range and skill set. That we help you particularly with entrepreneurship, with financial intelligence in goal setting, as well as personal mastery to increase your productivity so that you can transform your values, your mindset, your life, your empowering values, culture, teams, and indeed your organization and community. At the end of this program, we intend to achieve 6 major objectives. Number one, we believe you'll be inspired. 2, it will make meaning to you, and you'll be able to derive increased passion for entrepreneurship. You will take action on some of the things you've learned. You will do it within the purview and range of ethics, which is character, and you'll be willing to transform your organization. By the time you are through, we want to encourage you to be bold, to be brave, and to be brilliant. When we come back, we'll be able to share with you summary of all the things that they have stated. But I want to confirm to you upfront that every one of us is shaped to make a difference. We can find and fulfill our unique purpose in life if we look at the things we are passionate about and we build entrepreneurship around them. It's on that note I would love to quickly let me hand over to the anchor. Do you want me to introduce them or you introduce?
Okay, please go ahead, sir, and I'll just briefly read her bio after you've introduced.
Okay. We have 3 of them. This is the first person, and the bio is just by the side. So you could, if you want to. I will take the slides as to speak about them before we introduce them. Or do you want me to introduce them? Just tell me. I don't seem to be sure. Okay. I can't find her. Okay.
So I think you should go ahead, sir.
All right. Let me introduce Ajia Latifa Balogun, who's going to be the first speaker. She's a seasoned entrepreneur with over 3 decades of banking and entrepreneurship experience. She's the founder and CEO of Atlab Ice Cream Delight, a top gelato business in Nigeria with corporate headquarters in Abuja. She's a graduate of University of Lagos, Akoka, and an alumnus of the EDC Pan Atlantic University. And she has also attended the Business School Netherlands for a number of management courses. She has attended various business development programs, including the Mastery Impact Program, and was one of the 69 women selected to participate in the 2016-2017 Vital Voices Growth Fellowship Program. And indeed, as an entrepreneur, she constantly sees the potential in people and influences them to attain their career and business goal. She has leveraged extensively on her banking and business background in order to position herself and her business as a channel to help people grow. She has received numerous awards, including the BID International Star for Leadership in Quality Award 2014 in Paris, and sits on many boards. Ladies and gentlemen, may I call on Ajia Latifa Balogun to make her presentation, and I will make subsequent introduction as time comes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so delighted to be with you, and I want to sincerely thank the organizers of this webinar for counting me worthy of speaking to women entrepreneurship and the role we play in creating generational wealth. I started out, I had a very humble start. into entrepreneurship from a very young age. I've watched my grandparents venture into a couple of things, from selling dry fish to making akara, and then of course from my mom also doing some petty trade. So, and I recall that growing up, one of the things my grandma used to tell me is that 3 generations never become poor. And it permit me to speak in my dialect, says Irometa Okintoshi. So this formed a very serious value from the very onstart for me. So growing up, I mean, watching them do their petty trade, I felt someday I would also end up doing something like this. And I recall that when I was in the university, to augment my allowances, I also ventured into doing petty trade. So I made a job in the university and sell to my colleagues just to keep body and soul together. And shortly after I finished from the university, I ended up with a banking career. And of course, also in the bank, I supported women doing businesses to help sell their wares to my colleagues in the office. But like most of us, or so many people, just wake up into entrepreneurship without really planning to become one. So working in the bank, I mean, I just woke up and got a surprise sack letter, and I was kind of not knowing what to do and not knowing where to start from. But because of the heritage I have grown up with, seeing my parents do some petty trades, I decided, okay, maybe I should venture into something. And that led me into selling shoes and bags to my colleagues. And then over time, I started putting funds aside to see what other forms of business I could do. So an opportunity came for us as a family, where some were in Italy, serving the country. And I decided, well, this selling of shoes and bags would not sustain or cannot sustain the family. I should venture into something a bit more tangible. So I decided to take a training on gelato making, and from taking the training, expanded knowledge on making it, and then came back to Nigeria and started Atla in 2003. Starting the business wasn't a smooth journey, of course, as because I mean it wasn't really planned. So we started having a couple of challenges, a couple of issues, and then I realized it was time to start getting formal knowledge on how to run a business. So I came across the book written by Michael E. Gaba on running a business. It's called the Master Impact, E-Myth for short, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work. So reading the book, it just looks like the book was talking to me. And a lot of things resonated in the book. So I decided, okay, I mean, if I had to run business, a few things had to be in place. I had to find somebody to support me to run the business so that I'm not alone. And then I also have to put certain knowledge in perspective, how to run a business, operations, finance, and a couple of other issues that helps the business to run well. In the course of running the email, because it was an online program, a lot of times we had challenges of network and the other. So I came across this program, it's called the BSN, Business School Netherlands, and the Action Learning MBA. And I signed up to it. And a couple of courses that we learned from the program on how to run operations, finance, and all of that. And that gave me a good start. So in the course of running the business, a few things started resonating: how to keep the business together, how to grow the business, and a couple of other issues. So in running the business, I employed a few family friends, a few family members to join me because I couldn't hire real professionals to join me to run the business. So we kept running and running and running. And then down the line, we started engaging other people. So we saw that it was important to keep books of records. It was important to open a bank account to track all our sales. It was important to get somebody to look at the books and a couple of other things. And I mean, the journey kept going and things began to take shape. But of course, for every stage of the business, other issues will come up. And part of the issues that came up were like funding. And what we did from the onset to keep it together was to try and plow back as much as possible funds from our operations. And then when we needed to expand our operation, we sought out some bank loans. And I recall that part of the things we enjoyed, when we were going to get the loan was, okay, can we see a history of your performance? What have you been able to do for yourself using your own funds? And luckily, we had records to back that up. We had things to show in the business, assets we have acquired on our own to run the business, to grow the business, and also. And I recall when we got the land for where we built our corporate headquarters, it was an opportunity that came from the then government, and we were going to build, and the question of how to raise funds became a big issue. So we sought out a couple of banks, and then we got a finance institution in South Africa specifically for, they had a fund set aside for women, and we were able to tap into that to build a corporate headquarters. But bottom line, what has helped us is, one, we had the mindset from the very beginning to start the business and see it survive even after us. So from the beginning, I had the idea that I wanted to run a business that will live after me. So I began to put structures around that. And part of the structures we put in place was to, get a board in place to help guide our affairs and all of that. And of course, I kept developing myself, getting more programs to do, reaching out to other women networks, and a few other things that supported the dream. So from the one store we started out with Onademola Present in 2003, it blossomed into a couple of other outlets. Our first venture out of Abuja was in Ilorin, and then from Ilorin we opened a couple of other outlets. And from there, we had other network of women asking for support, mentoring programs, and a couple of other activities we do together as women, supporting each other. I think that for every woman, it's important that we encourage one another to start something if you have not started already. And if we have started business already, how do we keep it tight that it will survive our generation, and then we can pass it on to the younger generation? How do we support each other, learning the skills and the ropes of entrepreneurship? And how can we give back to the community some of the skills we have learned on entrepreneurship? For me, as a person, I will continue to tread the line of growing the business. And sorry, excuse me, there was a distraction thing. So I'll continue to tread on the path of growing the business and see how I can invest in the community around me. I can transform the business into a global one. Generally, continue to keep the entrepreneurship spirit going. Some of the other things that has helped me, I surround myself a lot with some mentors, people that have tread the line of entrepreneurship, especially in the field where I play. The journey so far has been very impressive. And I think that, more women should join, more women should be encouraged to take on leadership roles and see how we can grow businesses into generational ones and how we can support each other going forward. I also like to mention that one of the other things that was key for me was financial discipline, because I know that a lot of times when we start business, we start seeing the money, we tend to get carried away, by investing in frivolous things. And the one thing that really worked well for us as a business was delayed gratification. We didn't buy the things that wasn't important for the business. We didn't invest in things that will not support our dream. And that was also one of the factors that was considered when we were going to take on the major loan, to say, okay, what have you done for yourself? How well have you been able to run your business effectively? And it was it has been a very fearful one for us, keeping it together, tying the funds together, and of course getting us onto the path that will keep us firm in business. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am, Hajia Latifat. Thank you very much for that inciting session. I know that most of us would have questions, or some of us would have questions to ask. I want to implore that we're going to take a collective question and answer session at the end after our speakers have done justice to their topics. So once they are done, we will just keep dropping your questions in the question and answer section, as well as you can also use the chat box. We collated them, and once we're done, we'll be able to put them together and direct them right back to our speakers. So thank you so much, Hajia Latifat Balogun. Okay, so we're going to move on now to our next speaker. I don't know if Professor Lera is still here, if you would want to still do us the honors to introduce our next speaker, or I should go ahead and then go on with her bio as well. Okay, if he's not here, let me just go on and introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is no other than... Okay, okay, sir.
Please speak on, sorry.
Okay, our next speaker is Mrs. Lola Olukwewu. She's the founder, CEO, High IQ Designs, Topaz Hub, Always on Point, and Green and Grub. Lola Olukwewu is a serial entrepreneur and real estate investor with over 20 years of experience in real estate design and construction, administration, corporate events, and business management. She's an official manager of the Forbes Business Council, a Harvard Business School online alumnus, and the CEO of 5 growing businesses in Africa, 3 of which started operations within the COVID-19 challenged years. She has personally been involved in planning over 200 corporate events of various sizes, has contributed to multiple published articles in Forbes Business Council, and continues to advocate locally for renewable energy and global sustainable development goals as stipulated by the United Nations. We can go on and on and on with Mrs. Lola Olukwewu's bio, as you can see on your screen, but I'm just going to keep it short so that we can't wait to hear what she has to give us today. So Mrs. Lola, you are very much welcome, and you have the floor, or the screen, should I say.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great privilege to be here I used to be a debater in school, so I'll go that route to do my protocols. First and foremost, I want to thank Professor Lere Bale, my able lecturer, being an alumnus of the prestigious Business School Netherlands. I want to thank him for being here, the privilege. I want to thank our ED and our able president, Madam Hansatu, who also, we know each other from WIMBIZ and also from Business School Netherlands. The able moderator, the co-speakers, the powerful women here with me also on the panel, and everyone here. I want to thank everyone for the privilege of being here and also that you're here. A little about me. Like I said before, I'm a proud alumnus of Business School Netherlands, and I'm a privileged member of WIMBIZ. I'm an alumnus also of Harvard Business School Online and a Forbes Business Council member. So all these accolades, or I don't know what we call it, or awards that I'm speaking about, to be honest, are just things that I picked up along the way. It's not something that is hard to reach, to be honest, because I started as, I just had an HND coming out of school. So if I can do it, anybody can do it, to be honest. So there's really nothing here that is intimidating. I like the topic we are dealing with, and it has to do with women, generational wealth, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. All these things I can say have defined my journey so far. And I'm happy to mention or to state that just being here alone is proof that there's something we all can do to keep pushing forward and to achieve the results that we aim to achieve in the short and in the long term of our lives. I'll start with a little story of just how I got to where I am, and then share my journey as an entrepreneur and how I'm trying to build generational wealth for you and for every woman out there who desires it. Okay, so first and foremost, I have always been an entrepreneur, to be honest. Like when you're in school, you're just looking, okay, what can I sell in school? You have your pocket money, but you're just also trying to see how you can get extra cash. And you're like, okay, what can I sell that won't stop my studies? But at the same time, I will make extra cash. So I've always been an entrepreneur. But coming out of school, I think that was the real reality check. Several years ago, coming out, and do not forget, I said I had an HND. So I remember just at the point where we're going in for HND after ND, someone walked up to me and said, why are you not doing a direct entry? If you're a Nigerian, you understand what I'm saying. Why are you not doing a direct entry to the university? Don't you know that being an HND graduate makes you a second-class citizen in the labor market? Wow, I had never heard that before. And that was really, really punchy. And I was like, oh, is that right? Okay, we'll see how it goes. I desire to do an HND because I already have in mind how I intend to move my career forward. And because I'm going to do that, I'm also going to use this statement as my proof to myself, and to whoever is watching at the backgrounds, that even anybody, an illiterate or anybody who is not even, who feels less than in the society, can still make of themselves what they desire. So that was like my original fear, moving forward into the labor markets. I got in there, and of course, if you know the story, once you finish your ND, you have a 1-year IT period before you get into your HND. So that was really also the motivation to be so good in that office that it will be effortless for me to get a job, when I'm done with HND. At least that would be a good start for me. So thankfully, that was also what happened, During that period, that IT period, I would go into the filing cabinet in those days, all those files that I would have metal in the middle and all that. And I would try and rearrange everything by date, label and all of that, just trying to do something extra to make sure that, the value I'm adding will be something that will be desirable even when I desire to come back. And to be honest, that strategy worked. And that moves me to the very first point of building generational wealth here. The truth is, no matter how much we desire it, no matter how much we talk about it, no matter how much we make attempts, if we do not add value, if that value addition is missing in, the big picture, that we're trying to paint of ourselves, it will just be a matter of time for redundancy to set in, right? So that value must be added at whatever level that you are in. You must be adding value. It's not rocket science. Look for how important you can be in a sector, be known for it. And that was really what pushed. From there, you know, the people, of course, some of my peers went on, and of course, that was very desirable for me, but I just had a very strong conviction to go ahead. So those who went on to the university did very well as well. You know, we all met in the labor market, but guess what? I had gone ahead. I had started building value. I had started building, you know, should I say a name for myself or something, you know, in the areas where I was building. And that continued. And so while doing all my 9 to 5, I was also like a, you know, what they call the side hustle. So I would always look for something to do, you know, maybe on weekends and you know, the days I'm free, just to, you know, keep extra cash coming, because of course I'd been doing that from school days. So the first thing, the second thing that I also need to mention very importantly is that women generally are known to be value addition members of the society. If there's any title like that. 3 things I want to quickly point out before I move forward. Number one is that a girl or a woman, I think this thing came from the moment the moment Eve ate that fruit of good and evil. I think at the moment when she put it in her mouth and tasted it and said it was good, I think something entered her DNA. Because from that moment, every woman has a natural ability to just add value everywhere she finds herself. I'm sure many of us have seen this post. Give a woman a house, she'll turn it to a home. Give her fabric, she'll turn it to a dress. You know, all of that. It comes from within. It's innate for all of us to build value, to replicate value, and to always propagate value everywhere we go. So generational wealth through entrepreneurship is actually really something that should come naturally to an average woman. And I know that there are some men in our midst, you know, and so we will say the women and the men who love them, or the men who support them. It could be their brothers, their co-workers, and, you know, or family members. But in actual fact, the first thing a woman should know, and from my own personal story, is that you add value and you have the ability to turn a situation that looks so bad into a good thing. Second thing quickly is that women are resilient. The unique ability to keep pushing against the odds. I mean, if we didn't see anything at all, we saw it during COVID, right? We saw how, you know, during COVID, people just became creative. And I'm going to share, for instance, there's one of the businesses I run, Green and Grub. Green and Grub is a food business. As a matter of fact, as I speak to you right now, it's a micro business. The business just a little post-COVID, because of course, everybody is now coming out and we're now able to buy food ourselves. But what happened with Green and Grub? We were already, now let me quickly track back to how I started. So after I left school, you know, I did 9 to 5 for some years. I was doing side hustles by the side and all of that. And then I started Always On Point, which was an event management company. Always On Point was, what was our work? Corporate executives who want to plan events. They are focused on trying to get the events into play. You know, like they have content. They are really focused on the content of the event, but they don't want to be bothered with running after caterer, running after this. We came in and started delivering that value. We're like, you know what, don't worry, we'll help you run after them. Just make sure that you deliver on the event. And that's how that business started, Always On Point. We said, you know, coincidentally started doing great things with companies like Google. We did something with Facebook at some point, Amazon. These are some of the companies we worked with. We worked with local businesses as well, small businesses, you know. And while we were doing that, we're also thinking, okay, how can we also add value? You know, like how can we do something also for the society, for the community, for the team I was building? We started training in soft skills. We started doing soft skills because I knew that I just had that natural knack for teaching people, see, there's a way you communicate in the office, conflict management, professionalism versus politics. These are the 2 qualities you need in an office. You can't just be professional. You must learn to be political as well, you know? So I saw that the counsels I was giving was making sense to people. We started creating training packages for that. So that was always on point. As we continue to do that, always on point, started making some, gaining some traction. And then we looked, one day I was driving past, and I looked up and I saw that a building was, had a banner on it. And immediately there was just that aha moment. I just had that inspirational moment. Literally, I was just like, a hub needs to be built here. And that's how Topaz Hub came to be. Topaz Hub is an event, it's a tech and training business, tech and training hub in the center of Surulere. And so what we did was, okay, there are so many tires lying around in the estate. There are so many tires. Every other quarter, you have to change the tires on your car. So we started putting tires together, and we said, instead of just wasting all these resources that could easily end up in the ocean, we can really make these tires colorful. Let's make them into furniture. Let's make them into art. Oh, let's do plastic as well. And before you know it, we turned Topaz Hub into like a creative place where you could come in and train. You could come in for your events. And at that time, even pre-COVID, we're focusing only on corporate events. But eventually, we had to open it up even to social post-COVID. So that's how Topaz Hub came to be. It became, and of course, these were things we were doing at our own pace. And do not forget, at the point where we saw the place, it wasn't like we had all that we needed. But we were like, okay, let's go in and negotiate. It's a table, and we'll sit down and negotiate together. And that's how gradually we got our foot into that, and we paced ourselves, did it up. And we started hosting events. We started doing our trainings there. So we moved the training from where the office was to Topaz Hub. We started having people come over. Community still holds their meeting, our meeting in the hub till tomorrow. Our own way of just constantly giving back. And that okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. So and that opportunity is still open to anyone here. You're a startup, you really know what you want to do, you need space. We give rebates, we give discounts because we know how we started as well. So if you know that you want to do something in Central Mainland, you're trying to grow business, let us know. And this is one of the reasons we're excited also, to come here and, just talk about the opportunities open to women in being able to build whatever it is that you have as an idea. Just take that step. Really, it's as simple as that. Make that phone call, send that email. It doesn't take anything from you. What's the worst you hear? No. No. And then you say, thank you, and move on to the next person. So for me, I would just say that in my story, I was going to talk about Green and Grub. Green and Grub started during COVID. What happened? COVID showed up. Remember, we talked about Always On Point as the event company. We talked about Topaz Hub as events, tech and training hub in Surulere. Lo and behold, COVID showed up. What did COVID do? It wiped out all our clientele because nobody could gather. So we would, and of course, we had to shrink in size as well as a company, because really, for instance, the security guards, let's say we had 4. What are you guarding when everybody's at home? So we had to shrink. And I was just like, we can't continue like this. So this is how we'll just come, we'll turn on the gen, or we'll wait, we'll pay NEPA bill, and we'll just come and be singing Kumbaya. What's going on? So I started looking, and the next thing I discovered, I saw bikes zooming in and out of the estates. Boom, boom, boom. During COVID, everybody was scared to out. So it turned out that everybody was ordering food. And all these power bikes, if you remember, that was when all the power bikes showed up, and the business started in full force. Lo and behold, I was like, so I'm here, and people are bringing food to the estates to deliver to people. And we know how to cook rice now. Is it not to make shawarma? Is it not bread and they were going? Let us start. And that's how we carved out, a portion of the car park and turned it into a kiosk made of wood within 2 weeks. We had a few appliances here and there. We bought a few, added everything together. And lo and behold, that's how we started Green and Grub as a small business. Initially, people were sneering in this COVID, these people are selling food. When people are even afraid to eat or go out, there were a lot of sneers, but we continued. Lo and behold, today, I dare say, from general feedback, that our shawarma is probably the best in Surulere as we speak. So Green and Grub started by just identifying a problem and trying our best to fill it up. It's not like we had everything. This story is a very real story. Like, you don't have to have everything you need. And the number one thing I would tell us women is be shameless. When you're trying to grow your career, when you're trying to grow business, when you're trying to build generational wealth, you have to be shameless. There's no business that you cannot do. You can imagine someone who packages events, for multinationals, now getting into a kiosk. Do you get what I mean? And then we are doing, okay, so what's the recipe for shawarma today? Or what are we folded our sleeves and did what we needed to do. So at the end of the day, if we want to build generational wealth that will outlast or outlive us, we need to know that there is no business that you cannot do. As long as it's legitimate and it's honest work, you can do it. Green and Grub started just like that. And the other business now, High IQ, in the office in which I sit, I'm sure if you see my background, you can see some images there and all of that. It's an interior design business that also started post-COVID. My career, I read estate management in school. So I went back to real estate at some point. The fifth business, which was not mentioned there on purpose, because I'm the only and chief hustler in that business, and it's a real estate business. We started just like that as well. Gradually, just one foot in front of the other. So in essence, what I'm saying is, there are three qualities I want to point out. Number one, I've said it before, women know how to make something good out of nothing. So no matter how the economy looks right now, no matter how it looks challenging and it looks like nothing is working, just look around. There will definitely be something that you can do. Number two, quickly, is that women know how to be resilient. We know how to think long term. And number three, we also are very, very good in building generational wealth because we have an idea of what it takes to continue to put one foot in front of the other. Now, what are the strategies I've identified in building this? Number one, train. Continue to train. When we're talking generational wealth, check all the big companies we know today. How many of them have real hardcore? It's not that maybe a father and mother gives birth to 6 children and all the 6 children are thrown into the business because they're trying to build generational wealth. Just train the devoted ones, the loyal ones, invest in them. Fine, there will always be a people resource problem. After you invest, they go. That one, you can't wish it away. No matter how good your staff is, no matter how loyal it is, one day they will have to go. But the thing is, if you know that you are pushing it forward, you will never be short of good staff. Pour back into people. Number one, you have to train for technical skills, train for soft skills. Number two, you need to learn to delegate. If you do not delegate, you clog up your table, you clog up your mind, you clog up your life. Learn to delegate. If you've trained people, learn to trust them with little things, and then it gradually goes into big things. Of course, you put structures in place to manage and control them, but you must learn to delegate, right? Then it's important to also build a structure around yourself under delegation. Because now, if you build a structure around yourself, okay, you normally cook, for instance, maybe for yourself or for your family or for people 6 times a week, or you are the type that cannot delegate. Is there something you can outsource? These are things that will declutter your life, and then you can have a clear mind to think long term. The third and final one is to empower, and that's one thing we do in Topaz Hub, for instance. Because we have the space, the privilege of having a space, we try to empower women by making sure that they come in, we hear them out, we see the ones we can give discounts, because of course we need to consider fear as well, and we know how much diesel is now. So the ones we can do, we have co-working spaces. So you have a noisy neighborhood, you can't stay. And please do not get me wrong, I'm not here to market the thing, you know, the businesses we run. I'm here to just let you know that there is help out there for you. If you are seeking for it, you know, there will always be opportunities you can plug yourself into. As long as you don't feel that there's something you cannot do, then there is nothing you cannot achieve. There will always be something that you can achieve in actual fact. So those are the three things: you build, you delegate, and then you empower. You empower. Make sure that you empower people. When you invest in people, people invest in you. When you invest in people, you reap a harvest of good things. Finally, it's important to mention, sorry, you know, I told you I used to debate in school, so I had my points written. It's important to mention that there are some generational wealth creation techniques that I've picked along the way. Number one is, we heard Professor Larry Bailey talk about it, that you must learn to add value. There must be volume and there must be frequency. What is frequency? Consistency. You can't do it and say, you know what, I'm tired, I'm moving to another business tomorrow. Fine. If the business is not working, pivot. That was what we did. When we saw that the hub had to be on lockdown, we started something small within what we had, and just with one foot at least the little gains we're making in that business we're powering the gen, at least to run the business. And training, always make sure that you improve yourself, continue to do. How did I become an MBA holder from just an HND? The job I had at the time, you know, that job, I kept doing it, and from there, the savings, I started making inquiries. Okay, if we don't take HND for MBA, no problem. And that's how I kept making inquiries until I got to Business School Netherlands. They gave me the opportunity because I asked. I did my MBA, and it was just easy to build from there. Before I knew it, I was talking about, okay, is it not human beings that are doing Harvard courses? Let's see, what does it entail? What can I do? You know, and that's how, like joke, like they say, you know, and I did a course in there. Until tomorrow, it's there as Harvard Business School online. Whether you put it as online or offline, you have your reward with you in your hand. The next thing was also the Forbes, asking questions, making inquiries, be humble, be shameless. You will build this wealth. And may God help us in Jesus' name. Amen. I love you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for this powerful and passionate words that you have spoken to us. I mean, doesn't she deserve all the rounds of applause and all her flowers as well? Thank you so much for this session. I mean, lots and lots of heavy words that are supposed to sink into your soul, you know, to nudge you on as you go on in your business journey. That is all of us that are participating. You know, she said, be shameless. That was the one I took away. Be shameless, like AKA carry your market on your head. As a business person, do not be ashamed to do so. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lola. Okay, so I'm going to bring on board again our very dear own Professor Larry Bailey to appreciate Mrs. Lola. And
thank you. Thank you so much, Adara, for a very beautiful and master professional way you are handling this beautiful guest. So let me move on, ladies, sorry. Let me go to the next speaker. Our next speaker, like the other two, is another woman of substance. And I got carried away with what I was seeing on, when Lola was speaking. The next speaker is the founder and CEO of businesses in education, fashion, and food. Just like the last speaker, a great serial entrepreneur who actually had over 2 decades of experience in both public and private sector. She's a management consultant, a neuro-linguistic programming master practitioner. She has worked in various key sectors. She has great passion for women and youth leadership. And in the public sector, she served in many roles, part of which was as a member and board member of the FCTA Civil Service Commission, as a member of the governing board of National Library of Nigeria, as the chairman of the Planning and Development Committee of the board. She also eventually became the DG, the Director General of the Industrial Training Fund. And as a serial entrepreneur, she has shown expertise in various industries, from oil and gas to manufacturing to hospitality to education to publishing to training. She co-founded a number of institutions in education, in fashion, in food business, and she's also a great philanthropist. Ladies and gentlemen, this next speaker has been given an honorary doctorate degree in a National Honors Award, MFR, from the federal government. She holds a degree from the University of Benin, a certificate in National Learning and Executive Management Development, and an MBA from Business School, Netherlands. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Esther Juliet Chukas Oneko, MFR, FIMC, CMC. Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. This is, first, I just want to say it's a privilege to be on this platform, to be learning from so many remarkable women of substance and all. I hope my voice is audible enough.
It is.
Oh, good. So, so I'm really happy to be here. And Prof, I wanted to let you know that you have been my role model for so many years, even though sometimes from a distance. And I'm also very happy to be meeting Hansatu Adebite. I think we've not seen for so many years or spoken. I like what you guys are doing at WIMBIZ, and I'm really pleased to add my own to Kobo knowledge or experience. So without wasting any much time, I want to start by saying that I think my background kind of is similar to that of Professor Larry, because I also grew up in a family of 5 where I had my mom raised us from the age of 4. From the time I was 4, when my dad passed, she raised us single-handedly till we all went through school. And that really was a mentoring experience for me. And I want to say that it was from her entrepreneurship activities and earnings that she was able to put us all through school. So naturally, that's kind of got into my own spirit. Despite what I do, even when I was in a paid job in oil and gas servicing firm, I was still having my side hustle. There was just something very unsettling me if I don't have something doing on the side as in entrepreneurship, you know. So, but then I did that with the understanding of my chairman. So it was a very transparent and legal practice I was doing on the side, you know, as in the business I was doing, which was in the book sector. I would love to, I don't know if I'm sharing the screen because my screen is not, what am I sharing?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Please, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing who is Dr. Esther Juliet? I think,
okay.
This is PowerPoint. Yes.
So why am I not seeing it? I would love to see my screen. Sorry, let me see. I don't know what I touched. I was seeing it before, but it went off. I really want to see it so that I know what I'm saying. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, I don't know what happened. Anyway, if you're seeing it, that is okay. So the journey through entrepreneurship and also a career woman has been filled with so many ups and downs and challenges, you know, but I will try and focus on areas that affect us in this private sector space, and also make reference to a few things. Like I saw on that some of the facts I extracted, which is one
Hello,
of it.
Hello, Juliet.
Yes.
Go to slideshow on top.
Okay.
You see something called slideshow. Just you see the word slideshow in the same line with home.
Okay,
Can
I'm
you see?
coming.
You have not
Oh.
taken your cursor there. You
I've not
click on.
played the console. Okay, I'm coming.
Okay.
Something, it just got 1 second. What is happening?
I just want you to use a full screen.
Yes,
That's all.
yes, yes. I'm coming.
You
Yeah.
see the word in front of animation, you see slideshow.
Yeah,
Click on that.
1 second. I'm not even seeing the animation.
Okay,
It
if
will
it's not
open
working,
first. Don't worry.
you will see a big screen on the bottom side of your screen that just shows that that thing should become big screen. That's an option. Or you go to the slideshow and click slideshow on top. Towards have you seen the word slideshow?
No,
okay.
no.
If
Sorry,
it's
let
not
me just continue. Sorry, let me
don't
try.
worry, continue there.
But you can see my screen, that's fine,
Yes,
right?
you can see your screen. It's just that it
Okay,
is small.
it's smaller.
Yeah, no problem. Move on. Just move on.
Okay, so no problem. So like I was saying, we have had to do a lot, but I saw some facts online that I wanted to share here, saying that MBS report reveals that 40% of businesses in Nigeria are owned by women, which I think maybe more. And then according to the report, women-led micro businesses, micro and small, medium and small businesses contribute significantly to job creation and, of course, wealth creation in Nigeria. And those are facts that cannot be ignored, you know. And apart from that, women also many times have to, 1 second, okay. Women have continued to play a significant role in the area of supporting the growth of the economy through their entrepreneurship, you know, and so that is settled. Then let me go on. As a woman, like I said, I'm usually very restless. So I'll call myself not serial entrepreneur, but passionate entrepreneur, in the sense that I like to do, I love one business, but I like to solve problems, just like the last speaker said. Sometimes you see a gap and you just can't sleep until you do something about it. You're asking yourself, I can do more. I can help with this, address this gap and all of that. So that is always the case. And that leads you into venturing into different areas. Like COVID threw up a lot of opportunities in different space, you know. So looking at this, I've had to venture into, of course, the fashion, the consulting, the school. But the school and education has been my main play arena. So most of the things I do are actually education oriented, and other ones are mainly maybe because I could make money here and I want to do more. Now the area over the years I've had to, from oil and gas servicing, and I went into publishing. I want to first point out the fact that BSN was a great help to me through the journey of transitioning from paid job to entrepreneurship and owning my businesses, because BSN kind of gave me opportunity to run my business as a case study in some of the modules I did in the MBA class. And then at the end of the day, I will see what will work and what will not work. And it helps me to create structures and processes around some of those startups and ideas that were popping up in my head. And I'm really grateful for that. And when I ventured into my own business, which was a publishing, I was able to set up the midterm, the short-term, midterm, and long-term goals. And over time, there were goals that we couldn't achieve, and some we were able to achieve. One of our mid to long-term goal was actually to be able to evolve into a school. But then our desire was to evolve into a secondary school. So, and then I wasn't married. Shortly, I got married, and then when I went out shopping for school for my toddler, I realized that I had expectations that I wasn't finding in some of the schools I was visiting, even though we had consulted for schools before them based on our publishing area and book resourcing. And I was seeing gaps, in several of the places I visited. And that got me thinking and got me challenged that, okay, rather than waiting to start a secondary, why don't you start from the early years? Why don't you grow with these children into primary and then into secondary? And that was what gave birth to Brainwave International School, from pen and pages, which gave birth to Brainwave International School. And so I then, still applying the BSN knowledge I had learned, I had to look at the structure, the processes, and the systems that had to be in place. Okay, mind you, I didn't have much experience running a school, but the passion and the fact that I have my children and I knew what I wanted for them was enough encouragement for me. I leveraged my expectation as a mom to try to recreate those kind of things, make provisions. So usually I always tell parents that Brainwave is not just a school, it is a platform. It is a nurture. I'm looking at, yeah, I just want to bring, I don't know if I can make this bigger. I hope you can see it. Now, Brainwave is a platform driven by passion and vision to nurture children and raise them as people that we can be proud of. So it's not just about teaching pupils. Education or academic excellence is one aspect, but ultimately we look at the total well-being of every child that come into our school. And that's what most times we prefer to call them our children, not pupils. So there's that connection, there's that ownership, And in starting the school, one of the critical things we wanted to achieve, I personally wanted to achieve, was to have, have shared vision with our faculty, and that took a long time. In fact, it's still work in progress, because I think somewhere on this slide, there's a list of some of the challenges that schools are faced with. And some of it is the fact that teachers sometimes could just get up and go and not notify you, even though you have invested money training them, even though they have signed that, yes, they will give enough notice, sufficient notice and all of that. So, but such things happen. Either we decide to pursue it legally or we let them go. But it also leads to continuous retraining and retraining. So at a stage, what I had to do for myself was actually to begin to also educate myself in that field, to become an authority. So in entrepreneurship, it's not just enough for a woman to have a passion, to desire to fill a gap, to solve a problem. It's important to also get knowledge, get equipped, So one of what helped me was registering for some courses. I also had to do like 2 courses on Harvard Business School online in the area of education, and that helped me a great deal. And I did one with Nottingham University, but I don't think I completed it. It's supposed to be heading towards the master's in education, and it's still like pending program. But we've had to do that, and so many executive courses, and that has helped me to begin to refine my structures and the systems. And from time to time, I also train my teachers to understand the dynamics of what we do and how the education sector is changing rapidly, So, and that is something I want to encourage every entrepreneur to also adapt. Now, I had a hitch in my entrepreneurship journey, where besides having been appointed board member to certain agencies, which was good because it used to allow me to also run my enterprise, it got a time where I was given the executive appointment, and at this point I had to leave my businesses. I had to basically just focus on the agency and then working fully for government. And that was about a period of 2 years. And I must tell you, it was almost like a setback, because this was a structure. The school started not up to 2 years and was still at the formative stage and having to be pulled out of it. Going back to the school, I kind of met a school with almost a changed philosophy. So we had to start rebuilding all over again. I want to say to entrepreneurs who are on this platform that it's important to, it's important to know why you started the business, what's the reason, and then build pillars and structures that will sustain it even when you are not there. It's important to have your philosophy and ensure that it is not changed. And I'm happy that from beginning we had a well-defined philosophy, which is captured in the vision, a center for holistic and balanced childcare, leadership skills development, outstanding academic excellence, and all of that. Now, the balanced childcare, there was also the holistic and godly virtues, which is part of it, embedded in it. And we weren't going to change that for any reason. Whatever we do must be driven by that and by our core values. And that really helped me in knowing what to say no to and what to say yes to. So coming back, rebuilding, I had to be making reference to why did you start the school? What was the vision? What is our philosophy? What are our core values? This person we're hiring, does this person fit into our core values? Does this person share our vision? Is this person headed in our direction? Because sometimes you have a staff headed north and you are headed south. Of course, the vehicle can't take you to both places. And we always want to know where they're headed. We want to see how we can support them as we go on this journey. And so it has been a journey, has been a continuous building and refining and all of that. And of course, when COVID happened, it also called for a reflective time and reevaluation. And one of the things I learned from Harvard Business School online under the education department was the importance of being agile, being adaptive, being ready to change. So we had to basically play down on our long-term goals to look at the short and the midterm to see how adaptable that was, how we could make it very flexible so that as things are changing, we could be changing as well. And one thing I know is that Brainville is not just raising children for tomorrow's job. Brainville is focusing on instilling innovative mindset to create in children who create jobs for tomorrow. We don't know what these jobs will be. From study, it's been shown that in the next couple of years or in the future, that these children will be entering, over about 50% or at least 50% of the jobs as we know it now will not be in existence, maybe driven by AI. So a lot of these children have to begin to adapt and innovate. So the way we teach them is usually experiential, is usually hands-on, is something that they own the learning. We moderate, we direct them, we guide them. But we focus a lot on character, on these critical thinking, strategic thinking skills, life skills, and all of that. And this became very important to me after my experience in the public sector, working with government. I realized that, of course, there was a time I was also on the job creation board of the presidential job creation board, and we had to carry out the skills gap study, and then look at the things. And I saw that there was a lot of gap. There's a disconnect between the academia and the real sector. There's no handshake. And also the same thing, there's a disconnect between the government agencies and the private sector. So those who are regulating the private sector don't even have a clue of where it pinches us or what pains we carry, of what we are going through. And sometimes they pass policies that are anti-progressive. I remember one time I was, while I was state DG of the agency, and a document was brought for me to approve for them to sanction so many organizations somewhere in Lekki or in Lagos, and they want to send out letters and all of that. They've defaulted here and there,
Sorry, Dr. Juliet.
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, right? Your slides have not been moving. I was expecting the moderator would have helped me. Your slides have not been moving. We've still been on slide 2. It's just not moving at all. So I think since we
let me stop.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to appeal to you, that it's best we stop sharing.
Okay, let me stop sharing. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then let me also go back to share screen. Maybe if I re-enter, probably it will be better. 1 second. Share screen. Would that be better? Is it better now? Is it better now? No.
We can see this slide now. Yes.
Okay. So let me just leave it at this point, at this place. I could, because there are other slides that other ones just explain what we do. Like for instance, here was when one of our businesses, the Pen and Pages and Knowledge Exchange Network, we hosted Wole Soyinka and Goodluck Jonathan, the then president, to a book reading to with the children. This happened in Lagos at a cool hotel, and we hosted I think there were about 100 or more schools that were in attendance. So this is some of my giving back and social things I do. I like doing more in the education sector. We also have this one. Let me see. This is also another slide. In our clothing brand, our clothing brand is more or less social enterprise, where we had to adopt some children at the IDP camp to pay their fees for 1 year. So we adopted about 11 of them. What we do is that a good percentage, at least 50% of what we generate from the clothing as profit goes to support charity or carry out a charity work. The other time, we also had to reach out to the orphanage and pay the rent for them. So we do different things. Since the school can't do that, we have other organizations. I founded an NGO in memory of my mom, and so we also empower widows. I don't think I have the picture here. We empower widows in the rural areas. We have about 35 widows on our platform. So those are my NGO activities. There's no time to go into that. I wanted to just narrow down and focus on Brainville. Now, over the years, Brainville has also made remarkable achievements. We have we came overall best in STEM competition, that's science, technology, engineering, math, arts and math competition, 2017, 2018, 2 years on a row. And then we also came overall best in natural sciences subsequent year. Brainville International School is privileged to have produced the first space ambassador, who was named by the Space Research and Development Agency in Nigeria, National Space Research and Development Agency, named him a space ambassador because he's come up with so many inventions. He did that from year 3, and now he has moved on to secondary school. So this is a demonstration of the kind of education we offer to the children. We wanted to be solution providers. So they're not just reading because they want to get a job. They want to read to provide solutions. Okay. So for Brainville International School, it's been a journey. Like I pointed out here, I think there's a slide here. I don't know if you can see it. It's still very small, right?
Yes, we can see your slides. It's tiny, but
we can see it. We can see it.
Sorry. Yeah, it's just something went wrong because initially before this event, I checked it out, it was okay, but I don't know what happened. I know it was hanging at the point, but it's okay.
This is beautiful now. Very beautiful. It's big now.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so like I pointed out, there are a couple of challenges that a lot of entrepreneurs in the education sector are faced with. Okay, which I think maybe these are peculiar to the education sector, and then also have a list of challenges that the entrepreneurs are faced with generally. But some of the challenges we're faced with in the education sector, of course, has to do with sometimes you can't predict the number of learners they're going to have in a particular session or a term, especially now that there's this JAPA syndrome. Parents are relocating all the time. And so it kind of affects planning, cash flow, prediction, and all of that. We also have, of course, teachers who just resign, for sometimes for no reason. They probably want to relocate. Like we've had teachers who had to relocate to US, UK, and we have parents who owe and sometimes are not able to pay due to economic hardship. Of course, we have a policy on school fees payment, and sometimes we also try to reach out, encourage flexible payments, encourage them to pay in different ways. Sometimes the bank can come in and fund it, and then they pay back later. Of course, you have transport issues, buses breaking down, and then tax and multiple taxation issues are also major challenges that private education sector are faced with. then loan repayments, like we'll have a big project, we'll have a permanent site that we've been building, but discussing the loan, and we had to basically phase it out. Like, okay, no, we can't do heavy loan right now because our cash flow may not be able to support it. Our cash flow is termly, so we don't want to take that and then have a huge burden. So we had to do our development in phases, which has helped not to, I don't want to have hypertension, and the board also advised on that, following that approach, and then of course staff always come for pay rise. I think that happens in all sectors. One of the challenges I know teachers are faced with, because they are, like unlike other sectors, some people can do 1 day in, 1 day out, but teachers can't do that. They have to come Monday to Friday. And what we have been discussing is, okay, can parents choose to do virtual sometimes, but it's not working yet. So teachers come every day, and sometimes their transport fare gets very high, especially when there is no accommodation provided for them. So pay rise is something that happens a lot of times in our sector. Of course, we're encouraging them to form cooperatives so that sometimes they can leverage each other's wealth and buy things together and share and all of that. The other challenges that I think affects the general entrepreneurs, like cultural, access to finance. I think I've talked about that. Then we have cultural and social barriers. I have this barrier, I think affects me directly, because I remember one of the companies I didn't list here, which is a construction company that I also founded. We've done construction for different organizations from way back. And we have that company because sometimes you can't get quick funding from government, from bank, or from any of the government agencies that give grants. Sometimes we can't access it. So when we try to get contracts, we do construction, and we don't want major construction under UBEC, and we were paid. And part of the money was also given as loan to support the building of the school, and 1 second. Hello. Okay, so that's finance issue is a challenge. Now the cultural barrier, I remember I had my first child. We had a project we had done for government. That was 2009. And I was to follow up on my payment, and I put to bed. And there was this cultural thing where I was told that, I can't go out until after 2-3 months. And because of that, I was not able to go out until today. My company, then we lost over 25 million naira because I wasn't there to follow up. My staff that I sent messed up, and then that particular committee, which was for the sports committee or so, didn't pay before they folded up. So what I'm saying is that the cultural and social barrier affect women a lot. Sometimes you can't go to where you're supposed to go because they say you're a woman. For instance, mine, because I was still doing my maternity, I was told, no, you can't go out until the baby is dedicated, or is 2 months and all of that, or 3 months. So that's an example. We have also a lot of entrepreneurs have limited access to education and training, limited access to markets, work-life balance, and things like that. But in as much as we have all of these challenges, I'm pleased to say that women are doing greatly, significantly well when it comes to, bringing their children on board. Okay, there's a business I saw recently where the owner, she passed on some months ago. I was so happy to see the son, who is still a teenager, I think he's now 18 years or so, stepping up and then running the business like nothing went wrong. He has a full record of all that has been happening. The mom has put him through over time, and the business is growing and flourishing. So I see a lot of women doing that. And my mom, while she was alive, did that for me as well. There was hardly anything she was doing that she didn't carry me along. So right now, even under my business, the Bubble Tea by Pen and Pages, which is one of our youngest brand, it was started just after COVID. My son is so in love with bubble tea, so he knows how to produce this. In fact, a lot of sales happen through him. So sometimes they are home, they can come in, go into the store, and also join to produce, make bubble tea. It's fun, they enjoy it. And I teach them, I don't even teach them, they learn, they know how to, calculate their percentage. I tell them, okay, every bubble tea made, you're going to make 5% or so. And they keep tabs on that. I think that's one way to get it started. so that there's you're growing the generational wealth, not just growing the business, you're growing the children in entrepreneurship, and they definitely won't be stranded. So as I wrap up, I want to say that despite the challenges that we're faced with, I know I have pointed that there's a gap, which of course can't be fully talked about on this platform, until there's a handshake between the government and the private sector. We may not be able to plug most of these gaps. Let me wrap up by sharing that experience I was talking about before, which was what I encountered when I was on the as DG of the agency. I declined signing the approval for them to sanction those private organizations for one reason being that I asked a few questions. I'm like, these companies you want to sanction, do they know much? What do they know about you? And they couldn't answer. Have you ever reached out to them to find out how we as an agency can help their businesses grow and form a partnership with them? They said no. And I'm like, well, if you haven't done any of this, I'd rather you go start from there before you bring this for me to sign. You can't sanction people who you have not worked with, whom you have not even helped to improve their condition and their businesses. So I told them first, write a note, say, oh, we are from so and so agency. We just want to know, how can we help you? How can we help your business? What can we do? Ask those questions so that you make yourself user-friendly and work with them, whatever their needs are, whether it's in training, whether it's in guiding them to access the funds that are available in government that are not being assessed. Because I know, like CBN at a point, they set a certain percentage of money aside to help women-owned businesses, and obviously lots of women were not assessing that. I said, whether it's any of that, we can help these people. We'll talk with them, create awareness, and then have that hand-holding stages. And then when they start to get better, you can send them your requirements. You have to comply with this, you have to make this contribution. And because they know you are partnered with them, they'll be happy. They'll be more comfortable to begin to contribute those levies or taxes and all of that. And I think that's really very important for a lot of the government agencies to begin to look into. And then also feel that we in the private sector, we need to work more together, not in silos. We need to begin to leverage each other. Like in the education sector, the NAPS, National Association of Private Schools, what they do is to work together, especially when the tax issues come up. So they work together to go and negotiate with the agency or the government to say, especially for AMAC in Abuja, to engage them and say, people can't pay this.
Okay, hi, Dr. Esther.
Collaboration is important. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just going to interrupt you to tell you that you have less than 60 seconds.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know I didn't know I still have 60 seconds.
So you don't actually. I just wanted
to wrap up. Okay, yeah. I've wrapped up actually. Yeah, because I've touched. I think I'm talking about the gaps between the public and the private sector based on my experiences. These are some of the things I've seen, and there's need to have more handshake, and there's need for the government, the personnel in the government to begin to feel the pinch. What the private sectors go through, and not just pass the levies to them without even feeling their pain. We run profit and loss, they run income and expenditure. So there's a mismatch, and that has been a big problem between the private and the public sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Esther, for your session. Okay, we have very limited time, so we are going to shoot straight into questions and answers. So we want to take questions. If you have your questions, you can type them either in the chat box or preferably the question and answer section. We will see them. So please do so now. We already have a few questions in the question and answer section, and I'm going to be reading them out and directing them to the speakers who are going to be addressing them. Okay, so the first one is from an anonymous attendee. It says, one challenge faced by entrepreneurs is staff retention. How did you handle staff management and buy-in in your company? Okay, that is for Hajia Latifat Balogu. I know she has placed an answer here in private, but I probably want Hajia Latifat Balogu to please come on and answer this first question so that others can learn from it. We just have 20 minutes for this session to wrap up this question and answer session. So Hajia Latifat.
Trying to unmute my video. Good evening once again. I don't know, my video is not coming on. But generally, even for us as a business, we have issues with staffing. especially because of the nature of people we work with. We work with a lot of young school leavers who are trying to go on to the next phase of their life. But what we do is work with recruitment agencies, and in some cases we outsource. But importantly, we try to put in place staff welfare packages that helps them to support their dreams and then help them to stay on. Those are some of the little things we have tried to put in place over time. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Haja Latifat. I hope we got the answer to that. She says putting in staff incentive in place to assist in retaining your staff. So I'll move on to the next question quickly from Rukayat Raji. She says, my question is to the second speaker. What is the name of the hub in Surulere? I guess she wants to get some shawarma. That's to Mrs. Lola. And also, as a foodstuff procurement and market wants service, can I get mentorship? Mrs. Lola, can you come on board, please, to answer Rukoya's question?
Okay, the name of the hub is Topaz Hub. Topaz is an acronym for the On Point Advantage series. So the hope or the vision is to be a series of hubs across Africa and across the globe, whether on site or online. So it's Topaz, T-O-P-A-S, then hub. If you Google it, you would get all the details, but we're in Alaka Estate. We are seated right in the center of Alaka Estate as the biggest hub in Surulere. And then with respect to mentorship, like I mentioned earlier, Green and Grub is a micro business at this time. It shrunk a little post-COVID, but we still do great shawarma. So, but you're asking about mentorship, right? So I think I'm guessing what you mean is mentorship directly with me, because if you're talking about the business, it's not like, well, like a multinational yet. So if it's direct mentorship with me, you can just, I've also put my email address there. You can send your full details in what area you're needing mentorship and who you are, what you do, the details about yourself. And then, we can look at that and schedule you in. We recently just completed a set of mentorship sessions with a 3-month mentorship sessions with 2 company new joiners in one of these in one of the Nigerian companies. So yes, just send me an email.
Rukoya, I hope you got that. You can reach out to, I think Mrs. Lola also privately answered and dropped her email too. So you can reach out to her for that. Okay, so we're going to quickly, Mrs. Lola, please don't go. You have a few questions here directed to you. So I'm going to be reading one after the other. This is from Abasi, Ene Basi. She says, what advice would you give someone who is trying to balance a 9-to-5 and a side hustle?
I think the first answer I would say I'll give is number 1, have a to-do list that has a timeline. Whoever does not plan will not succeed. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Have a to-do list, a daily to-do list, a weekly to-do list, so that you are juggling both and you are fair to your employer while you're also being fair to yourself as an entrepreneur. You must have a to-do list. Then you have to be consistent. You can't say, well, I'm tired today, I'm not. You have to be consistent. You totally have to be consistent. So those are the 2 things I would say you should focus on at this time. And then as you continue to evolve and the business continues to grow, you will now make a decision whether to go face it squarely or to continue that way. And you can also get an extra hand to help you, in the business.
Okay, all right. Another question for you again, Mrs. Lola. This is from Mariam Sani Awe. How do we leverage people without having funds as a startup? It's hard getting help, especially when there's no much fund. Any advice on how to go about it?
Leveraging
that means,
people.
I guess how she's trying to say how to onboard people, right? Without having so much funds.
Okay, I think even though that's because I've also spoken about how they got help one way or the other. The truth is, if you add value, for instance, sometimes I tell some of the mentors I've had to train that If you want, a value addition does not mean that you keep throwing an email into someone's inbox every other day. It means actually identifying what is their pain points. The truth is, the answer I can give you, easy breezy answer, is that if you have value to give, you will always catch the attention of the right people. Now, funding, naturally, we know right now, is not particularly easy to come by. But what are you two bringing to the table? If you cannot, get funding immediately, what are you offering that will open a way for you, or a door for you as well, to even be taken or considered ahead of others? So if you are not getting, then what are you planning to give? I think that's something you should go think about as well. Try and look for what to do that will add value to whoever it is that you're trying to also get funding from. But also, please start from where you are, baby steps.
Okay, all right. We have about 12 minutes to wrap up the question and answer sections, and we have more questions here. An anonymous attendee says, either for Hajia or for Mrs. Lola, but both of you are in the food business, so you have the right to answer this question. How do you protect your technical know-how so that staff do not start to compete with you directly or indirectly? How do you protect your technical know-how so that staff do not start to compete with you directly or indirectly? Mrs. Lola, should I start with you and then we go to Hajia after you're done?
Okay, that's fine. The truth is this, I learned very early and very quickly that when anyone copies me, whether the staff I trained or a competitor or whoever, I consider it a compliment. It happens all the time and you can't wish it away. The truth is, where that came from, where that idea came from, there are 1,000 that can come from there. That's the gospel truth. You can't wish it away. Even if you give what's this called? No, non-compete, whatever, for anybody to sign, and you think they are bound for a year, give it 6 months. Look back, they are probably doing exactly your exact recipe, your exact everything will be copied. So you can't wish it away. The question is, what do you do to protect your own clientele? What are you bringing? So now your staff or whoever has now become a competitor. So you will have to treat them like that. If you continue to get emotional about everyone who is copying you, you will lose focus. So focus on your focus and continue to have an edge over your competitor, whether the person was a former staff or even your blood sister. So I think that's just the simple answer to that.
Okay, definitely, yes. So Hajia Latifat, would you like to throw in a
just to add to that, I think I'm on the same page with her. Looking at where we've come from, 20 years of doing gelato, we've had, in fact, in the first year, somebody just was poached, one of our staff was poached and set up something similar that everybody thought it was our business. And when I was complaining, somebody said, okay, if they copy your business, can they copy your DNA? And that has formed the philosophy with which I run business since then. We even do trainings with the mindset that a lot of the people that we train becomes our customer someday. They buy products from us. We set up for different people and they say, why are you teaching them what you do? If you don't teach them, they will learn it somewhere else and it becomes a bad deal for you. So, I mean, it's something you can't wish away, just like Madame Lola said. We have to continue to keep our game up so that we can keep doing what we do well.
All right, thank you so much, Hajia Latifat. Okay, we're going to take the very last question right now, unfortunately so. Thank you for the amazing discussions. This is from Firo El Hassan. I would like to hear insights on business sustainability beyond the founder without having the children involved in the business. Okay, so who's going to answer this now among our speakers? Insights on business sustainability beyond the founder without having the children involved in the business. Maybe Mrs. Lola should help us with this.
Okay, well, I would say that business sustainability, like I had said before, when you're talking about generational wealth or you're talking about building something to outlive you, it doesn't mean that is your bloodline, or it doesn't always mean that is your bloodline that would only be involved in that business. There would naturally be people that you can train who can carry that torch and pass it on to the next generation. Naturally, there will be people from your bloodline in the business, but like the question is implying now, the person is saying, what if there's nobody in your direct bloodline in that business? It can still be generational. It's not every child that you give birth to that is your child. Anyone you are mentoring, anyone you are responsible for is a child in that person can be trained to carry the torch of that business. So you would have to still pour into people. You would have to build a team. You have to build a structure, a system, and a legacy that can outlive you, whether or not your children are involved. So the same strategy you want to use for generational wealth with a bloodline is the same one you should use with loyal people that you come across along your journey.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Lola, for handling that that question pretty beautifully. And I hope that everyone who has answered asked questions today have gotten really good and straight to the point answers to their questions. So before we call this a wrap, I'd like to invite Dr. Esther to give us one or two final words on her part. Dr. Esther.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I just wanted to say something in line with the question that was just answered, just in addition to what she said. I think, or I would suggest that even in the organization, the generational wealth transfer and all of that doesn't have to be your bloodline, just like she has noted, it's important in your organization. There are staff, there are workers that you see that are passionate about what you do. There are not many. Sometimes a group of plenty staff, it could just be one, two, and it doesn't have to be the top ranking person. It's just about the attitude. And that's why some in our recruitment processes, we've had to begin to infuse our core value, looking at certain qualities in the people that we're interviewing. Like I said, you can't take a staff that's headed north to join you in a vehicle that is headed south. That staff must find fulfillment in your organization. You must know that they are headed in your direction. Once they find fulfillment, they know that, okay, if I stay with this organization, there's potential for me to grow, to rise to a certain level. I might be a shareholder at a point and all of that. They begin to really get more committed because they're headed in your direction. Not like the one who just wants something to fill the gap. Because there are lots of people who take it, like for instance, my sector, they take teaching profession because they don't have anything better to do, and they just stay there for another 2-3 years. Once they get the offer from that top international organization, they are leaving you. But there are people who just enjoy working with children, nurturing and all of that. Recently, I've had to identify 2. Last time I groomed like 3, 2 left, 1 is still there. I have identified 2 new ones, and I'm treating them equally. They don't even know my feelings towards them, but I try to give them all they need to make them continue to be comfortable and to be happy, and keep working with them. Try to see, how are you faring in your home? What's your husband saying? What are you expecting? I want to know where they're headed. If they are changing direction, I need to know. I need to know that they'll be there in another 2-3 years. And I'm assigning them to train other people, see how well they're passing the knowledge and the culture. It takes a lot of time. Sometimes you do that and they leave. You start all over again. But my prayer is that these ones will stay. What I always tell God is, give me the Gideon's army. I don't need the multitude, just the Gideon's army. It could be 2, it could be 3. But I know once those ones are set, the system, the organization can fly, whether I'm there or not. If my children choose to come aboard, fine. They also have their own aspirations and passion. I wouldn't limit them. But I do everything to make them like my business. But God will work around it and make them fall in love. But that's just my own observation regarding that generational wealth transfer to non-family members is important.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Esther. Looking beyond the bloodline, that is just the phrase there. Okay, thank you so much to our amazing speakers. Thank you for this powerful session. Thank you for the beautiful words you've imparted into us today. And I'm sure that after this, we are fired on again to pick up in our businesses and continue to hustle, continue to carry our business on our head, just like Mrs. Lola said, continue to have that fire and keep going. Okay, so I'm going to bring on board again our very own Professor Larry Barlett, the CEO of Business School, Netherlands, Nigeria, to come and give us a summary of the key events of today's event. Prof, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Adara, for a very beautiful management of this program today. We are eternally grateful to you. The role of women's entrepreneurship in creating generational wealth. Today, I've learned so much, far more than I thought I had learned through my mom, who was also an entrepreneur. I know how to take care of 5 of us. She became a widow at the age of 38 and survived till 93 before the witches and wizard killed her. I was very hopeful she would make it to 100, but they killed her at a very young age of 93. Today, I've learned far more than I've learned in my lifetime from women entrepreneurship. And more importantly, we said, look beyond the bloodline. Every single person who works with you, you have a responsibility towards them, to mentor them, to model them, and to see them as a potential successor. And so for those who are moving the same direction with you, we might be able to address that generational wealth thing. And so it's not just about wealth for your family, but it's actually wealth that will raise the GDP, and the other generations, no matter where they are located in the world, will benefit from it. So we've had women entrepreneurship, and now they have been created. And we know that women have faced barriers, there have been ceilings, but the landscape is evolving. Today, we have 965 graduates from our school. 479 of them, about 50%, are women. And I'm extremely proud. And because of this, we know that some of these ceilings, some of the barriers have been broken down. And therefore, we know that in 25 years' time, 75% of women who work in multinational, 25% of CEOs of multinational will be women. And more than 75% of successful entrepreneurs of the top 100 entrepreneurial firms in Nigeria will be women. We know this because they take their studies very serious and they do everything possible. Like Lola said, be shameless, to do legitimate things. They don't care when they stop from being a banker to start to sell atarudo or pepper at mile 12 as a beginning until they build. The man wants to just stay at home, watch television, and look for miracle that job is coming somewhere. So we know that there are reasons why women entrepreneurs are continuing to create generational wealth. One of the reasons is economic empowerment. And by therefore going into entrepreneurship, you'll be able to empower yourself and empower beyond your generation, setting an example for future generations. Lola is inspiring, Juliet is inspiring, Latifa is inspiring. People who are not here on this program, but possibly they are actually watching them and they are inspired to start something, no matter how small it is. And for me, they are already teachers along those 6 areas. Job creation and economic growth, they spoke about how the entrepreneurs could build thriving enterprise, they contribute to job opportunities, they generate income for themselves, they employ other people, therefore they empower each of the person you've employed. There are 10 other people, 8 to 10 other people depend on them who receive a lot, even if it's 1,000 naira every quarter. So they are therefore being able to manage several families and sustain several families. My wife normally educates me, say, we don't need to make profit in all the businesses we've set. What is more important is whether they can break even. We are maintaining the life of several individuals who depend on the alerts of our workers. They are, like I mentioned to you, these people are role models and they are very inspirational. And I wish I'd listened to this kind of lecture in the early part after I've graduated. I would have been serial entrepreneurs like Latifa, like Lola, like Juliet. But I didn't listen to this lecture on time. So I will start to learn to be serial entrepreneur. I hope they will mentor me, they will give me the kind of support I need, more financial than any other thing. So, but basically, it's important for us to know that as women, we must set ourselves up as role models and inspire the next generation, since we are not considering bloodline alone. In fact, the session that we have run today is a means of influencing the next generation, not to be afraid of entrepreneurship. And I'm happy we understood it. We need to really, they mentioned some things consistently. That is, look for value. They said, I saw a gap, I saw value. I was driving, I saw a space, and I converted that space to a place where people can now hold events, where people can now do training. So they saw gaps. Oh, Julia said, I was looking for a place for my child and I couldn't find a good school that would meet my needs. So she decided to invest in education. So some of the problems that we are complaining of are the opportunities that we already have. So community impact and social change. Juliet mentioned a couple of things that she's doing in terms of giving back. And I think we have a responsibility to help the community. I have no doubt in my mind that if I get to Alaka, the number of people we see, we go to relax in Topaz up. So there are people who have to benefit from all the things that we are doing, particularly our immediate environment. Now that we are emphasizing ESG, we must also be environmentally friendly, we must create a sustainable environment, and we must ensure that whatever we do is ethical. And so inheritance and legacy planning, it's not about you handing over your business to your children. It's actually about whatever you've made out of that business. You can actually build a trust. And so it's no longer a case that only men has a will. A woman doesn't have to write a will, but can have a trust, a living trust that enables that the ownership of that same business that a non-member of the family is running, that there's a trust that is overseeing everything, all those group of companies. So they don't need to be in your profession. They don't need to have passion for what you have passion for. So inheritance and legacy planning require that we set up a trust and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, thanks to Adaura who has asked me to give this summary, we're able to know that women's creativity has no limit. And in reality, outside God, the next person you must have huge respect for is a woman. And I knew that from the early part of my life. My mom educated me about this very thoroughly. And so I believe that women has peculiar potential, that it is when you invest in that potential, it creates a win-win for you, and it also creates a win-win for her. And therefore, it creates a synergy that the kind of wealth that your family will build will be far more than when only one person is working. So they possess unique gifts for transforming spaces into homes. They craft fashion from a simple piece of cloth. They are able to preserve traditional craftsmanship. They ignite taste buds with culinary creations. They find innovative solutions to everyday challenges. When you see problem, a woman sees opportunity. Their creative energy enriches the world. They bring beauty. They bring functionality. They bring inspiration to every aspect of life. Therefore, by celebrating and supporting women's creativity, society can benefit from the incredible uniqueness, innovation that they bring to the world. And when you look at all the people who have spoken today, right from the woman of substance, highly energetic and Satu Adibite, whom I've known for decades and who have been my mentor for many decades, to the other mentors like the one that I picked up today, Adara, Akojuru, where you imagine our communication skill, or you look at the likes of Latifat, who has built several branches of the same company, just replicating the same thing, and has been able to face all the hurdles. One would have expected that, COVID-19 has put an end to all the things, but it's really just expanding and growing. She spoke to me a few weeks ago and said she has opened additional 2 branches beyond the ones I knew before. Or I moved to Lola, who bears the same name like my wife, Lola, and I knew her as a student in school, but today she's a serial entrepreneur. So it's not right for us to call them CEO. We should call them group CEOs because they have multiple businesses that they are running. So I would like to also mention Juliet, who as a student, I knew as a student, she has educational institution, but she has added so many other things, fashion and many other things to it. And she has become a great philanthropist. I believe that we have been able to see the incredible uniqueness in womanhood and the innovation that all these people have brought to the world. I have no doubt in my mind that if we continue to invest in women, the world will be better. GDP will almost double within the shortest possible time. It will not be the world that is dominated by men alone. Men has ruled the world for too long. And now that we do not have sufficient growth on GDP, it's time for us to bring in women. Thanks. This is the summary that I picked up from today's teaching. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Liri. Thank you so much for these amazing words. Women, know that your creativity knows no limit. All right. So we're gradually coming to the end of this session. I'd like to bring on board now the Business Development Executive of the Business School Netherlands, Nigeria, Bukola Ayeni, to give us the vote of thanks.
All right, thank you very kindly, Adaora, for that wonderful session so far you've moderated. We want to say a big thank you on behalf of Business School Netherlands to WIMBIZ for this opportunity to partner on this wonderful program that we have had today. And also want to thank the WIMBIZ team, first of all, the Executive Director, Mrs. Ansatu Adegbite. We want to thank the team that worked with us from WIMBIZ, Philip, Precious, and so on. And particularly also want to thank great speakers so far, Mrs. Ajiat Latifat Balogun, Mrs. Lola Olukwewu, and our very special...
Okay, Bukola is off.
And so on.
Okay.
Bukola?
Okay, she's back.
Right?
We can hear you now.
All right, thank you so much. So I want to thank everyone for this opportunity, and particularly to the CEO, the DTM, Professor Lere Bale, for the support so far to make this program successful. And our biggest thanks goes to all our attendees. This wouldn't have been possible if you didn't attend. Thank you so much. My colleague, Temitayo, has dropped in the chat a link whereby you can quickly fill in case you are interested in, maybe want to know more about Business School Netherlands, the Women Entrepreneurship Program, and the different programs that we have in BSN. It is action learning and you'll benefit from it. Thank you very kindly. Over to you, Adaora.
Okay, thank you so much, Bukola, for thanking us. Okay, so we're going to take some announcements, and to do that, we have the Programs and Membership Manager of WIMBIZ, Precious Magical, to give us the announcements.
Good evening, everyone. Here? Can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Yeah.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. I'm sure you've had a swell time today. You've learned a lot, some things to take back and just put to table. I want to thank everyone for attending today's program, and just look forward to seeing you at our next program. I will be taking a few announcements, and evaluation link will be sent to you all. Will be dropped in the chat box, so please do well to fill it. As you know, feedback is very important to us, and we take all of this feedback and to just make your future experience more better. Also, the evaluation link will also be sent to you in a follow-up email. So for those of you who are unable to fill in the chat box, we encourage you to fill once we've sent it to your email. Also, we kindly invite our dear participants who are interested in becoming WIMBIZ members. A link is also going to be dropped in the chat box for you to please fill and become a member. This is one of the benefits of being members of WIMBIZ. You get to attend sessions like this, amongst many others. Just also inform you that we have the WIMBIZ Big Sister program. We had in Lagos last week across 2 schools. This is a program that mentors senior secondary school girls to just be the best version of themselves. Our next location is going to be in Abia State this coming Friday, December 1st. And we just encourage you that you can make a difference in the life of these girls by sponsoring them with just 10,000 naira. And